Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sales and Use Tax webinar for new businesses presented by the State of Connecticut Department of Revenue Services on the 20th day of June, 2024. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday in 98 scorching degrees. I mean, if you like hot, release the hounds because today is your day. You might as well get a lottery ticket as well, right? My name is Richard Carter. I'll be facilitating this webinar, which essentially means I'm just going to be calling balls and strikes for you here today. So today we're excited because we have 5 speakers lined up, which will include information about sales and use tax for new businesses. We also have a MyConnect demo and a tour of our Taxpayer Education Center, plus a Q&A of the most frequently asked questions that we do receive. So we have a lot to do. We'll get to all of that in just a few moments. But first, I'm going to give you an overview of this presentation so you have a general idea of what's coming. So this webinar is designed to help new businesses understand Connecticut taxes, certain requirements, and provide information on how to navigate the department. Now, before we go any further, congratulations on starting your business. We certainly hope that it is successful. Starting a business can be overwhelming, and we want to relieve you of some of that stress, anxiety, and worry by providing helpful tax information so we can get you going in the right direction. Therefore, we recommend, if you haven't done so already, is downloading the following DRS publication, which is the Getting Started in Business Informational Guide, which is the IP 2018-5. Now, the Getting Started Business Guide is a fantastic resource, and it's chock full of information, and it's broken up into 10 chapters, and among those chapters is choosing a business structure, registering to make sales in Connecticut, sales subject to tax, and exemptions from sales and use taxes, plus much, much more. Now, you'll hear the guide referenced several times throughout the presentation, so just so you know, it is available on our website and can be downloaded as a PDF. And in order to do that, just go to our website, which is located at portal.ct.gov/DRS. Now, once you're there, as you can see here along the left side panel, you're just going to want to click on Publications. And then from there, we should go to Information Publications. Yep, there it is. And then we'll scroll down just a little bit and we'll look at prior year publications, or I'm sorry, prior year publications. And then we're looking for 2018. And once we've got that, we can look at 2018-5. If that proves to be cumbersome, you can always just enter the Getting Started Business Guide into the search box or throw it into the Google machine. Either way, it should pop up for you. All right, a few more things before I hand it off I want to make you aware of is our new online portal, MyConnect. You've started your business at a great time because registering, filing, and paying taxes with the state of Connecticut has never been easier. MyConnect actually makes submitting returns simpler and more efficient while offering additional self-service options 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And in fact, we do have a demonstration of MyConnect later in our presentation. And as an aside, if you're old school and you still want to file a paper return, you can do that as well. Following the MyConnect demo, we'll give a quick tour of our Taxpayer Education Center as well, which has instructional videos on a multitude of topics. And then we will do a Q&A of the most commonly asked questions we receive via phone calls, emails, and MyConnect. All right, so let's just provide our contact info. Okay, I can see the screen is there. If you want to give us a call, our phone numbers are 860-297-5962, or you can go the 1-800 route, and that is 1-800-382-9463. You can always zap us an email. Our email address is drs@ct.gov, or if you are familiar with MyConnect, you can zap us a message that way as well. And just as a reminder, our website is portal.ct.gov/DRS. And I would be remiss or negligent, actually, if I didn't mention that we are on social media. So look for us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. You can follow us, give us a like, or even subscribe. And if you visit YouTube and find our page, you will see a DRS video with a I must say, a strapping young man driving around in a golf cart providing sales and use tax tips for landscapers. Okay, that's enough self-promotion and enough time listening to me. So let's get this thing going. First up is Melissa Pescatelli. Melissa is the tax division chief of our Legal Services Bureau, and she is going to briefly share some information about our agency. Good morning, Melissa. Welcome to Thursday and enjoy your stay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carter, for that very warm introduction. Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Department of Revenue Services Sales and Use Tax webinar. I am Melissa Pescatelli, the department's Director of Taxpayer Services. We are pleased to bring you this event today, which will provide you with important state tax information that will help you succeed in running your new business. We have some very knowledgeable team members with us today who will provide you with an overview of sales and use taxes, including how to set up an account on the DRS online platform, how to file and pay sales and use tax returns, finding important information on the DRS website, and so much more. Our experience at the department has shown that many new businesses miss the first filing and payment of sales tax due dates because they simply do not know what to do. This webinar is designed to guide and help you understand the sales and use tax filing and paying requirements. Having a good handle on understanding the state tax filing requirements and using the department's technology is critical to your success. To that end, the department has recently modernized its tax administration system, making it easier than ever before to do business with us. Our safe and secure online platform, called MyConnect, will allow you to file returns, make payments, and manage your state tax account 24/7, anytime, day or night. The feedback we have received from existing businesses has been overwhelmingly positive, and we are confident that all of you will find MyConnect easy and convenient to use as well. I encourage you to check out MyConnect and make the department's website a favorite on your device. This will make it easy for you to check back often for any tax updates and developments that may impact your business. Now, with the goal of providing world-class customer service, the department has recently hired 20 new consumer information representatives to answer any questions that you may have with any of your tax filing or payment matters. This team of friendly and highly trained employees stands ready to assist you Monday through Friday between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. You can reach our consumer information staff at 860-297-5962 or 1-800-382-9463. You can also email your questions to drs@ct.gov. Again, congratulations on starting a business in the great state of Connecticut. And remember that the staff at the department stand ready to help and will be an important resource of information for your continued success. Now, Mr. Carter, it's back over to you. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, Melissa. Way to get us going here. All right, so now it's time for the heavy lifting portion, or one of the heavy lifting portions of today's webinar. And for that, we have Catherine Zandri and Chris Chimura. They are revenue examiners, and they're going to present some information about sales tax and a couple of other things. As I bring those guys in, are you guys aware that the sales tax is actually 77 years old this year? It was passed in 1947, became effective on July 1. And they get the state ready for the sales tax. They had 32 clinics across the state. How about that? All right. So, Catherine, Chris, the time is yours. Enjoy.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. It looks like we're color coordinated today. And I have yet to meet that strapping young gentleman yet. So please introduce him to us next time he's in the building. Not the golf cart.
Will do.
All righty, thank you. So welcome everyone. If you're thinking of starting a new business or you have started one and you're not sure where to go from here, with regards to the Department of Revenue Services registration and filing requirements, well, we're going to help you with that today. Not all businesses are required to register with DRS, and we're going to go over that a little later on. But the most important fact to know about sales tax is that it is a trust tax that must be remitted or paid over to the state when it's collected at the point of sale or transaction. So if your business is registered for sales and use tax, you're acting as an agent of the state and all the taxpayers of Connecticut to collect the sales tax, if in fact it is subject to tax on the transaction. So for the period in which the sale occurred and Connecticut sales tax is collected, a business must pay over or remit the sales tax to DRS with the filing of its sales and use tax return. Now, if a sale is subject to Connecticut sales tax and it is not collected at the time of sale, whether you didn't realize that it was the service or the goods that you're providing was not subject to sales tax, it was missed, you failed to calculate it, the business itself is liable for the sales tax charge and must remit or pay over to the state the tax that should have been collected at the point of sale. So you're going to pay that from your own, the business's own funds when filing the sales and use tax return. Sales tax collected should be kept separate from the operating cash of a business. Although not mandated, it's highly recommended that all sales tax collected be deposited and housed as its own account. So at the end of the period when you're filing, the amount that you've collected is in the account waiting to be remitted. If you're commingling it and you're paying expenses of the business out of the general account where all of your income is going in along with sales tax, you may find that you've encountered a problem at the end of the month. You may have paid a lot of expenses and don't have the sales tax to pay over. Okay, we want to avoid that. So although not mandated, it is highly recommended that you house or deposit your sales in its own account. And for that reason, new businesses are set up as monthly filers to help keep you on track. We feel we're team together. We want your business to be successful. So it's a lot easier to get you back on track if you've only made a mistake in the first month than to let you go 3 or 4 months down the road. You find that there's an error. It's a lot harder to get back on track. Okay. So to help you start on the road to success with your business, DRS provides you with a variety of tutorials and educational resources. Mr. Carter showed you the Getting Started in Business informational publication. It's excellent. Highly recommend looking at it, bookmarking it, keeping it right at your fingertips. He's gone over the website we also have information for businesses page specifically for new businesses. We have the Taxpayer Education Center, of which this webinar will be posted approximately a week after we have finished. So you can find the webinar there in case you missed something, you're not sure what we discussed, the webinar will be posted. Businesses are required to register with DRS using the new online portal, MyConnect. However, not all businesses are required to register with DRS, and that's where our registration process helps you. And the informational page for businesses helps you to know whether or not you should be registered. For instance, you may consider opening a barber shop, or you're going to be styling hair, but you're not selling anything. Okay, depending on how you structure your business, you don't have any employees, you won't have to register with DRS, but all that information is available on our website and in our publication. Our new online registration portal, MyConnect, is clear, simple, and step-based. You will find a demonstration later on by our colleague, Randy Hariprasad. We'll give you an overview of all the steps, the registration and filing steps in MyConnect. Very simple, very easy. Now, what is needed from your business to register with DRS? Well, we first ask that if you are not a sole proprietorship, that you first register with the Secretary of the State. That way, you're going to make sure that no one else has the name of the business already. No sense in registering with us and then going to the Secretary of the State for your business ID and then obtaining your EIN from the IRS only to find out that Once you got to the Secretary of the State, someone already has a business by that name. Okay. So we want to avoid that. Start by first, if it's required, to obtain an EIN, an employer identification number. You can apply for that at IRS, www.irs.gov. It's free. And at the conclusion of the process, you will have your federal ID number, also referred to as a federal ID number, EIN. You're going to need that for your bank accounts. You're going to need it possibly for insurance company. So, and we're going to need it as well. Next, go to the Secretary of the State site and register there. And lastly, with us. Now, a sole proprietorship does not need to register with the Secretary of the State, but this is what you'll find out in viewing and referring to the informational guide, Getting Started in Business. The best part about the features of MyConnect is that it is also mobile device friendly, very easy to use. You'll find that later on again when Randy reviews that part of the webinar. So what are some of the other features of MyConnect? You can obtain your Connecticut tax registration number instantly upon registering. You can file returns. And then if you find that you've either omitted information or included information that was for the next filing period, you can go back in and very easily amend or correct the return. You can make payments on MyConnect, receive online filing reminders. You can view your historical data. I want to look back and see what my gross receipts were for the entire year, last year, and all my filings at your fingertips. Very easily to obtain on MyConnect. And the best part is MyConnect is free and it's available 24 hours. You can access DRS correspondence specific to your business, send and receive secure web messages about your account. You may have a question. You might have made a payment to a wrong period. So you send us a message. It's open 24/7. If you're up in the middle of the night, when it has occurred to you, I think I made that payment to the wrong period, you go right in, send us a message, secure message. Please move that payment in this amount on this date to this period. Very easily done. And again, as I said, mobile device friendly. So if you're registering for a tax account that requires a fee, you must make a direct payment free from your savings or checking account during the registration process. In other words, MyConnect does not, there's no fee involved with filing or making that direct payment through MyConnect. Now, if you do use a credit card payment, there is a small fee that the credit card provider or the processor of your credit card payment may charge you. But if it's a direct payment, no fee. And once you've created a username and password during the registration process, you can log into your account to instantly obtain your Connecticut tax registration number. And you will be able to file returns, make payments, and view your filing history. And once again, we recommend that you first start with the IRS for an EIN if it's required, Secretary of the State next, DRS last. Now we're going to talk about purchasing an ongoing or an existing business, also known as succession. Well, swimming pool cleaning business, that seems to be a really good business right now. Everybody's out there busy and somebody says, well, you know, I just had enough of it. I've done this for a long time. My children don't want to take it over. I'm going to sell the business, especially while it's thriving. You may come along and say, I want to buy your business. Okay. The sales tax permit that belong to the business that you're buying cannot be transferred to you, the purchaser of the business. You have to apply for and obtain your own Connecticut tax registration number and sales tax permit. Where there's a sale of the business, you have to make sure that there aren't any previous outstanding liabilities owed to DRS from the business. Well, how do you know that? And that's where our DRS recommends that we have Form AU 866. If you're purchasing the business, that you submit the form. It's known as you're requesting an issuance of a tax clearance certificate or escrow letter. It will let you know what the status of the business is with regards to any outstanding liabilities or unfiled returns. So within 90 days prior to the purchase being finalized, you want to submit Form AU 866. And within 60 days of receiving Form AU 866, DRS should issue a tax clearance certificate or escrow letter. And if the purchaser does not receive the certificate or letter from DRS, then the purchaser is released from any obligations to withhold from the purchase price any taxes owed and unpaid by the seller. You can find out additional information if you'd like to read more on this topic from Informational Publication 2018 and 10, Successor Liability and Request for a Tax Clearance Certificate. Now, the first step in getting started is you'd want to choose a business entity, and there are several to choose from, all covered in the Getting Started in Business publication. There are several types. For instance, a sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, limited liability company, limited liability partnership. DRS cannot advise you on how to structure your business. That's why we recommend that you reach out to a tax professional for advice. They see your entire financial picture and how to best structure your business. So once again, to learn more about each one of these types of business entities, Getting Started in Business will give you a very good overview of each. Let's talk about a sole proprietorship. It's owned and operated by one individual. Me, I would be the sole proprietor. And the name of the business would be my name officially. And if I were to print out business cards and hand it out with my name on it, no one would know what type of business I'm in or what service I'm providing, what goods I am selling. So you may hear with a sole proprietorship, you may hear a reference to a trade name or DBA. DBA means doing business as. So say I am a bakery and I'm going to make cupcakes. My specialty is cupcakes. So I am going to use, maybe I'm going to register definitely as Catherine Zandri. However, I'm going to choose a trade name or DBA name as Catherine's Cupcakes. And that's what I'm going to have on my business cards that I hand out. So now people know if they're looking for a good cupcake shop or they're having a party or something, now they know, they remember my business card. Sole proprietor reports the income. I'm going to report the income from my business on my individual income tax return on April 15th. It's going to go on the federal return and Schedule C. That's where all of my expenses are going to be reported, and the income is going to flow through to my individual income tax return, and I'm going to pay tax on that. Well, with regards to a partnership, two or more people or persons who join in together to carry on a trade or a business, and their income is derived from or connected with Connecticut sources, is subject to a tax on the business income. The partnership will file Form CT 1065/1120 SI, sourced income. It's a Connecticut pass-through entity return. You'll hear that term pass through because the business income passes through, the business pays a tax on it, and the income passes through to the individuals who are members of that partnership, and then they take a credit for the taxes paid by the business on their income tax return, and they report the income as well. Now, the due date is on or before the 15th day of the third month after the close of its taxable year. For calendar year filers, that would be March 15th. Again, all listed in the Getting Started in Business publication. A corporation is created under state law with a legal existence separate and apart from its shareholders. And if federally taxed as a C corporation, you must file Form CT 1120 with DRS on or before the 15th day of the month following the due date of the company's corresponding federal income tax return for the income tax year ending December 31st, May 15th is the due date. And if you're not required to file a federal income tax return for the income year, the Connecticut Corporation Business Tax Return is due on or before the 15th day of the 5th month following the end of the income year. Now, you might hear of a business, you might see a business name followed by LLC, and you may wonder what LLC means. That's a limited liability company. You can be a single member LLC or a multi-member LLC. It's created under state law with a legal existence separate and apart from its members. LLCs with income derived from or connected with Connecticut sources are also subject to tax on the business income. They too file, if they're taxed as partnerships or S corporations, must also file Form CT 1065/1120 SI by March 15th for those with a taxable year-end date of 12/31. Limited liability partnership may register in Connecticut, and a partner of an LLP is generally not liable for any debts or obligations of the partnership or any other partner or partners. LLPs are subject to a tax on their own income and must also file Form CT 1065/1120 SI on or before the 15th day of the third month after the close of its taxable year. And lastly, we have nonprofit. A nonprofit entity is any social, civil, religious, or political subdivision or educational organization that has been federally recognized, thus qualifying them to be exempt from Connecticut sales and use tax. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Chris Chamorro, who will now get into the meat of sales tax and the permits. Ready, Chris?
I'm ready. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. So who must obtain a sales and use tax permit? Well, individuals, corporations, partnerships, all other businesses are business entities that will make sales in Connecticut regardless of the number of sales made or the amount of tax collected. Manufacturers and wholesalers, as well as retailers, building contractors and subcontractors prior to providing any services, even if the services are not taxable, or if the contract is with a tax exempt entity. So here's another great resource. It's an informational publication 2018-2. It's the Building Contractor's Guide to Sales and Use Tax. This is also on our website, and it's a great resource on anything to do with the building contractors. So something that's important to know is you should obtain a sales and use permit before making any sales. Now, a sales and use permit is needed for sales, rental or lease of goods, sales of a taxable service, or operating a hotel, motel, lodging house, or bed and breakfast. Now, these rules do not apply to casual sales or isolated sales, which are infrequent sales of a non-recurring nature made by a person not engaged in the business of selling tangible personal property or taxable services. Now, a couple examples of this would be like a grocer selling his cash register, or say an insurance company selling an old typewriter. So another important thing is you must obtain a permit even if you'll be only making sales in Connecticut for one day at things such as a flea market, a craft show, or an antique show. And please remember that the sales and use tax permit must be displayed prominently at your booth or table. Okay. Now, what about if you're opening or operating from more than one location? You must obtain and display a sales and use tax permit for each location. So if you own 10 coffee shops, you need 10 sales and use tax permits. And then you might ask, well, how do I obtain a sales and use tax permit? Will you register with the DRS using the online registration application portal MyConnect that Catherine and Richard have mentioned? Applicants pay a $100 fee with the application, plus an additional $200 fee for a retail cigarette dealer's license if you'll be selling cigarettes to register for a sales and use tax permit. Now, if you make a direct payment from your checking or savings account, it will be free, as Catherine mentioned, or you may pay by a credit card, and then there would be a small fee from the credit card provider. And as mentioned before, you cannot assign or transfer your permit. So if you close or discontinue your business, you must file a final sales and use tax return and return the permit for that location to DRS. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about penalties. So DRS will impose penalties for failure to obtain or renew a seller's sales and use tax permit while continuing to conduct sales. So the first day without the permit is $250. Each day that follows will be another $100 a day. So best to have your permit ready. So, and a newly issued sales and use tax permit will expire 2 years from the date that the business reports as commencing sales. So, as the 2-year expiration date nears, DRS will automatically begin the renewal process. But this is providing that all required sales and use tax returns have been filed and no outstanding liabilities of any type are owed DRS by the business. Okay, go a little bit over the requirements. As a new business, the filing frequency assigned by the business for reporting sales and use tax will be monthly. Catherine had mentioned this earlier, regardless of the number of sales. Now, this is a big thing to remember. You are required to file a sales and use tax return even if no sales have occurred. So say you're kind of more of a seasonal business and you don't make many sales in January, you still have to file a 0 tax return. Now, DRS may change the monthly filing requirement of the business to a quarterly or annual filing frequency following a 1-year review of sales activity of the business. Now, a sales and use tax return must be filed by January 31st each year, reporting all sales activity for the previous calendar year for an annual filer. Now, sales and use tax filings are due on or before the last day of the month following the end of the filing period. So you may ask, what sales are subject to Connecticut sales and use taxes? Connecticut sales and use tax applies to any transaction where the title to the goods being sold transfers from the seller to the buyer in Connecticut. Now, Connecticut use tax applies to any transaction where the title to the goods transfers outside of Connecticut, but the goods are intended to be used in and are brought into Connecticut. The sales tax rate of 6.35% applies to the retail, sale, lease, or rental of most goods and taxable services in Connecticut. There is only one statewide sales and use tax. There are no additional sales tax imposed by local jurisdictions in Connecticut. unless specifically exempted by Connecticut General Statute 12-412, the sale of all goods and certain services in Connecticut are subject to the measure of Connecticut sales tax. Now you can find a complete list of taxable services on our site under, you would look for Connecticut General Statutes 12-407. And that you can find all the taxable services. I'm going to talk a little bit about, there are 6 different rates for certain kinds of sales. So I'm going to just go over them. Now, 1% would applies to the sale of computer and data processing services. 2.99% applies to the sale of vessels, motors for vessels and trailers used for motors for vessels and trailers used for transporting those vessels. 4.5% applies to the sale of a motor vehicle to a non-resident member or a member and his or her spouse jointly of the armed forces of the United States that are stationed on the full-time active duty in Connecticut. And there's the 7.35%, which applies to meals and beverages. There's 7.75%, which applies to most motor vehicles with a sales price of more than $50,000, items of jewelry, whether they're real or imitation, with a sales price of more than $5,000, and then articles of clothing or footwear intended to be worn on or about the human body, or a handbag, luggage, umbrella, wallet, or watch with a sales price of more than $1,000. And lastly, there's 9.35% that applies to the rental or leasing of a passenger motor vehicle for a period of 30 consecutive calendar days or less. Now we'll talk a little bit about use tax. Now, use tax is due when you make taxable purchases but do not pay Connecticut sales tax. Use tax applies to any purchase of taxable goods and services made by business, except for those purchases made for resale. So, use tax applies to the purchase of the following partial list of goods and services. So, assets such as furniture, equipment, machines, computers, office supplies, paper, stationery items, certain publications, pre-written software, books, vehicle repair, landscaping, janitorial services, snow removal services. So say you're paying for somebody to do all your lawn cutting and trimming and they don't charge you sales tax, you're going to have to file it under use tax. Now, if you have a sales tax permit, you must report business purchases on which Connecticut sales tax has not been paid. If you paid no tax because the purchase was made from an out-of-state internet or mail order company that did not collect tax, the use tax is equal to the Connecticut sales tax due on the sale as if it occurred in Connecticut. Now, if another state's tax was properly paid on purchases made in that state, the use tax is limited to the amount, if any, by which the Connecticut tax exceeds the tax already paid. And remember, goods or services not subject to Connecticut sales tax are also not subject to the use tax. So, this webinar was created to assist the Connecticut Connecticut businesses with understanding the specific tax information needed to register their business, file and pay their Connecticut sales and use taxes in accordance with Connecticut statutes. So please visit the DRS homepage in the My Connect tutorials panel often for the latest tax updates, announcements, and tools DRS offers to help keep your business operating successfully. Thank you for viewing this webinar today. It's been our pleasure serving you. Mr. Carter, back to you.
All right, fantastic. Don't worry, folks. We're not done. We're not going anywhere. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Catherine. They will be back later in the show. So still to come is a tour of the Taxpayer Education Center. But first, let's get going on that MyConnect demo. And for that, we have Randy Hariprasad. Randy is a principal examiner in our electronic filing unit, and he is going to introduce you to the world of MyConnect. Good morning, Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Good morning, everyone. My name is Randy Hariprasad, and we will be talking all about MyConnect and show you how easy it is to file and pay your sales and use tax. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let me get there 1 second. Okay. So you should be able to see my screen, and the screen that you're looking at is the Connecticut Department of Revenue Services web homepage. So there are few ways to get to MyConnect. You can simply go to Google and type in MyConnect CTDRS, and Google will pop it up the first option on the screen. You click on that and on the hyperlink, and it will bring you into MyConnect. Or if you're familiar with our website, which is very easy to get to with the portal.ct.gov/DRS. It's right up here on the screen in the URL. Or you can just type in Connecticut Revenue Services. It will pop that up as well. Once you're on the DRS homepage, under the most popular link, you will see there's a link here that says MyConnect File, Pay, and Register Taxes Online. You will simply click on this link, and this should bring you into the MyConnect homepage. So this is how our MyConnect homepage looks like. We'll talk about some of the options or features that we do offer by not logging in, and then we'll briefly show you how to create a username and password and how to get into MyConnect, and then we'll file a sales and use tax. All right, so let's get started. So on your screen here, I'm going to switch gear and go into our testing system because I do not want to use our live system. So I'm now in the testing system, but basically it's the same copy of the production system. So as you can see on my screen here, we do have different panels. So they're different hyperlinks here. For example, if you need to register for your sales and use tax, or you need to register for any other tax types, and you don't have a registration number with Connecticut, you will simply click on New Business, Need a CT Registration Number, and just complete the Reg 1 application. Let's say if you already have a CT registration number, you're registered for sales and use tax or any other tax types, and you wanted to add a tax types. So here's a good example. I have sales and use tax. I open up my business, I register, I get my Connecticut registration number. Now I need to hire employees because my business is growing. So now I need to register for payroll withholding. So instead of coming to this link to register again, and of course we will put a block on it to tell you this is what you need to do. We don't need you to register again for the CT registration number, for the registration number. All you need to do is just simply create a username and password in MyConnect, and then you go to the More tab, and there should be an option there to add additional accounts and locations, and that's where you're going to add your withholding tax types. Okay, we do have different hyperlinks here, like for example, make a bill payment. So if you receive a bill from the department, you will simply click on make a bill payment, enter your your letter ID is going to ask you for, and you can make your bill payment by not logging in. For individual income tax, we're not talking about that today, but there's a lot of that if you have to file income tax and look up like, where's my refund, extensions. There's so many things that MyConnect has to offer. It will make your life so much easier. Instead of calling us or getting answers, you can get answers quickly on the MyConnect website. Over here, we have the additional resources panel, and there's a lot of more information on here. Let's say if you are you're a third-party bulk filer, for example, you're a CPA or an accountant, and you wanted to file for many of your clients, and I'll show you later on in the presentation how to sign up to be a bulk filer as well. But the link is right here where you click on third-party bulk filer, and this will bring you with a lot more information, how to register yourself as a bulk filer, and all the different files that we do have there that will assist you in uploading any of the tax types as a bulk filer, like withholding, sales and use tax, any W-2s or W-3s information, 1099s, and there's a lot more, and we'll go over some of those as well once we get into MyConnect. We do have tutorials. We have Find Your Submissions. Tutorial is very important. Like, let's say if you need assistance how to file a sales and use tax or any other tax types, corporation, for example, we do have tutorials on that as well. It will guide you step to step, page to page, how to file and pay your any other tax types in the system. Before we get into the system to log in, which I already create a username and password. So for example, if this is your first time, you will click on create a username. So basically, I'm not going to go through with this, but it's very simple. Like, follow the prompts, creating a username. I click next, then it's going to ask me if I'm individual taxpayer, business, or a third-party bulk filer. In this case, you're going to be a business user. And then once you select that, you click next. It's going to ask you for some key information to create your account. Let's say if you already create a username and password and you're doing your sales and use tax on MyConnect every quarter, and 3 months pass and now you're ready to do the other quarter, but now you forget the username and password because you didn't write it down. No worries. What you need to do is click on forget username and password. If you forget the username, you simply enter the email address when you created a profile, and we will send you your username in your inbox, in your personal email inbox. If you forget the password, you will enter the username, and then we will send you a link in your inbox to create a new password. We makes it so easy for you to self-service on MyConnect for your forget username and password. All right, so I created a username and password already for my business, so I'll simply enter that information here. And then I am going to enter my password. And I click login, and of course my password is incorrect. So let's see what's happening. Maybe it's my typo. And anything that you do in MyConnect, let's say if you're typing in something incorrect or filling out a return, we will give you error message that directs you what to do next. Okay, perfect. I got my username and password. I was happy. I was able to get into MyConnect. So the first thing when you get into MyConnect, this is what you see on your screen. Upper left corner, you will see the MyConnect. That's my name, MyConnect Fast Track. My CT registration number will display there, and also my my business address. Upper right side, it says Randy. Welcome, Randy Mendez. All that information is here. We have manager profile, for example, if you need to update your email address or your phone number, or any security questions, or a two-step verification is an extra layer we have for you if you need to set that up on your account, which you can do the app, or most of you are already familiar with it, or you can do a phone number or email, just an extra layer of security. But it's recommended, but it's not mandatory for you to set that up. All right, I'm going to go back over here, and we're going to go right back into the summary screen. And On the summary screen, you can see that these are all the different tax types that I register for in my system for my company, and then the sales and use tax is here. But before we start filing the sales and use tax, I do wanted to show you some additional features that we do have to offer. We'll guide you with your sales and use tax and any correspondence or anything that the department send you. So we do have that action center. So basically the action center is like, let's say if there's a return that's a reminder, and a return that's coming up for filing, we will send you a reminder. It will be in the action center. You will also get an email in your inbox. That's why the email is important. When you create the profile, you set up your email address and make sure that it's correct, because we do a lot of correspondence through email to let you know, hey, Randy, or return is due in 5 days, or let's say if I ignore it for some reason or I'm not available, then 15 days later we'll send another reminder to say, hey, you passed due, still go in there and file your return. So there's a lot of corresponding, if we send you a letter or something, you will also get that in your action center. So check out the action center when you have time. It's very useful, very important. We do have some settings information on your account. The More tab, if I click in the More tab, there's a lot more information on here. So let's say if you wanted to make any changes to your company name or your addresses, if you want to update your address or add and update officers, or you wanted to close your business or reopen your business, all of that can be done right here on MyConnect. So for example, like here, manage my name and addresses, add additional accounts and location. And this was the link I was telling you earlier. The example I gave, if you have sales tax, you want to add employees, you want to register for payroll withholding, this is the link that you will simply click on, add additional accounts and location, and everything is done instantly. There is no wait that you have to wait 3 or 5 days from the department to finalize everything. Once you register, you come back to the summary screen, you're ready to go file and pay your taxes. We make it that easy for you. Close your business, like I said, reopen the accounts, like if you want to reopen your business as well. You can view letters here, view messages. You can send a message securely with any attachments to the department, and we will respond back to you back and forth securely. So this is a good feature as well that we do have in the system. Request status letter. A lot of you will go for loans and stuff like that. So if you do request a status letter, you simply log into MyConnect, click on request a status letter. Let's say if you have some outstanding liability returns or payments that you made, we will tell you, what needs to take care of before you get your good status letter. If your account is perfect, then you will be able to print your status letter right away. There's no wait or anything like that, or request that we'll have to wait for a few days. Okay, then some miscellaneous items are here as well. A power of attorney, if you're doing any tax exempt certificates, if you're missing a refund, report a refund missing or anything like that. All of that good information in here. I don't want to take up your time to go through everything, but there's a lot of information on MyConnect when you sign in. Just take some time, navigate your way, and you'll see how convenient it is for you. All right, so we'll go back to the summary screen, and today we're focusing on sales and use tax. So I'm going to go ahead and locate my sales and use tax on my screen. And on the right side, you will see it says there's a link that says File Now. Let's say if this is the current period and it tells me I'm a quarterly filer, when my return is due, and which period I'm filing for. And I have my File Now link. So let's say if I'm looking for an older period I didn't file, this link that says View File Returns and View Period Details, if I click into that link, I will have all the different periods in there. And I'm just like, for example, I don't really have anyone that's outstanding. But if I do, let's say, for example, June of 2022, then I will have the File Now link here. Or if you wanted to go back, and I'll talk a little bit more on amending a return. So I'll hold off on that for now, and I will come back to this later. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my sales and use tax. I'm going to go ahead and click on File Now. And this will bring me into the sales and use tax. And as my colleague there explained earlier, in the demo, that there are several different tax rates. The 6.3, which is the general, the meals are 7.35, luxury 7.75, and the rental passengers or motor vehicle 9.35. Today we will do the general sales, the 6.3 tax rate. So I'll simply check that box. But let's say if you have you have more than 2 tax rates to apply to your return filing, you can simply click as many of them as here, which applies to your filing. So I'll do sales and use tax for now. But before I go next on the next screen, I want to show you another important feature that we do have in the system for filing a return. We have a save draft feature. This is a very cool feature. So for example, I'm entering the figures in my sales tax, and I was like, oh shoot, you know what? I didn't know the deduction amount for my gross receipts, the sales receipts. So I was like, oh, you know what? My boss stepped out, but he's going to be back. But now I have to wait. Do I lose the whole thing? I started this whole filing of the sales and use tax? No. You simply click on the save draft feature. And when you click on the save draft feature, you're going to get an option that says continue editing, finish later. If you click on finish later, the system will save your draft for 30 business days. For example, 5 days before the 30 days is up, you forget all about it, that you have a saved draft. Then what's going to happen, the system is going to send you an email in your inbox telling you, hey, Randy, you have your sales and use tax, still needs to continue filing. If you would like, continue logging, continue filing. If you don't need to do anything, you don't need to log in or anything like that. The system will wipe it out from the system after 30 business days, and you're not going to, when you go in there, you're not going to see it anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and says continue editing. So check out the save draft feature when you have time. It's a really cool feature if you don't have all the information at the same time, to continue the filing. All right, so I'm going to go next, and that will bring me over to the next screen, the return line items. Line 1, gross receipts of sales of goods. I'm going to simply go ahead and enter my figures in there. And then if you have any of the other lines, you can enter it in there. As you can see, I do have deductions. Do you have any deductions to enter? I'm going to say yes. And then in the next page, I'm going to get the option for the deductions. So for example, general sales tax, I'm going to go ahead and in the blank field here, I'm going to put my cursor. And I do have all the different line items for my deduction here. So I'm going to do line 15, sales for resales. And then I'm going to enter that all amount. I'm going to say it's 4,500. Once I click out of it, it does all the calculations. So the good thing about MyConnect and the way how we design it to help you, to assist you, all you do is just need to enter the required field, and we will do all the calculations for you. So now, as you can see here, it tells me that my balance due up here, my due date. And if I was late with the return, we will have a big banner here, tells you that, you're late, there's penalty and interest, but I'm timely with this return, so everything looks good. As you can see, all I did was just enter my deduction, enter my gross receipt, and the system does all the calculations for me. Line item summary, there's another question here on line 12. It says, are you claiming film production tax credit? I will say no, it's a mandatory question, so you have to say yes or no. And like I said, if your return is late, you will see on 13A, B and A, estimated penalty and interest. Okay, so that's my total amount due. I enter my deduction, but if you do have more than one deductions, you will simply, click on the line items and continue entering your deductions, as many as you apply to your business. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and click next, and you see how easy it is to fill your sales and use tax online. It was just like 2 steps, 2 clicks, and get it done. Now I'm on the payment page. So I have different options here for making a payment to DRS. I have the credit card. If you want to make a payment via credit card, what you can do is you can simply click on the next page. I'll have the option of a credit card, or I want to make a payment with the bank account. Of course, there's a fee because it goes out to the vendor. We have a credit card vendor, and there's a fee involved. We calculate based on the amount that you owe for the credit card. But if you're using your checking or savings account with DRS, with pay with bank account, there is no fee. It's free. We will debit your account from the day you tell us that you want the money to come out. We also have an ACH credit, pay after filing fee option. This option here is basically, I set up the information on my bank and I says, hey, Bank of America, I want you to send DRS, $10,000 next month for my sales and use tax. So what, we don't go direct and debit your account. The bank will go ahead, and we do have a procedure in place to sign up for that option. All right. So today we're going to do pay using the bank account information. So I'm going to simply click next. And now I do have the option again, like, the next screen I was saying earlier that I have bank account or credit card. I'll simply say bank account. And then I click next, and now I'll enter my banking information. So it brings me to enter the dollar amount. I need to confirm the dollar amount. And if you are filing a timely return, you do have an option of making a partial payment. So we do allow that option as well. If the return is late, you're not able to schedule out your payment. But like, for example, I can schedule out this payment 45 days up to the due date of the return. So now, as you can see here, I have my bank account was saved. So my payment channel, we call it payment channel in here. So you can see it's defaulted to Georgia's own credit union. But for example, if you says, no, I do not want to use that because I make payments using payroll or something with that bank account, I'm going to choose use a new payment channel. And then I will simply enter my payments, direct payment. And then I enter my routing number, and just to make sure, to keep everyone in track that when you enter the routing number, we will display the bank name for you. So you know that you are actually entering the correct information. So as you can see here, I enter my routing number, my bank name displayed, and now I'm going to enter my account number because I do not want to use the one that's saved on file. And then I'm going to say it's checking account. And then I have the option to say yes or no if I wanted to save it for the future. I can say yes, and then when I come back next 3 months or next month or whenever your sales tax is due, and I don't have to enter this information again, I simply click on the default account. Now I'm on the confirm submission, the terms and condition, and this is where we have some very important wording here for you, terms and condition. As you can see here, the amount of direct payment will be this amount, and it will be initiated on June 20th of 2024. For signature, electronic signature, you will simply enter your name in the box. You don't have to say, oh, how I'm going to enter the signature. And then I'll simply go ahead and click submit. And I got my confirmation number, and I will also receive the confirmation number via email in my personal email inbox. I can do a printable view, which is a PDF format, and you will get a printable view of a summary of everything that was just entered up here with some demographic information. It shows the bank account information here, that how much is going to debit it and all of that good stuff. And then you have all the different line items. If there's any deductions or anything, everything will be listed here. So for example, say if you walk away from your computer and you didn't get a print copy, no worries. I'll show you how to get a print copy. So now I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and I'm going to return back over to my summary screen. I will go ahead and click on the More tab, and then I'll go under my Search Submission tab. And my Search Submission tab, this is the return that I just filed. And if I click into it, I have a print option here. So if I click this print option, I will get the same PDF that we looked at earlier. So no worries, these information all save under Search Submissions. It will be there for years and years for you. Okay, so 1 second. I mistakenly got out of that. Bear with me. Okay, so I am back in, sorry about that. I just closed out my browser by mistake. But I'm just going to log in here and then we'll just quickly talk about the how to amend the return and we should be wrapping up. Fast track. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so now if you go over to my sales tax, you can see that it says submitted on my screen. And then what I can do, so right now the return is still sitting there. By tomorrow, you will see it as processed. It will come into our system and it will say processed. Now I'm going to return back to the summary screen and then I will locate my sales tax. I will click on view file returns and view period details. And then over here it says view submission. But once it's processed tonight in our backend system, you will able to see it as view or amend tomorrow. So you can still make changes to this. If you, let's say if I click into it, you have the option of withdrawing the return, continue editing, or delete the submission. Or like again, you know, we give the option again for the print version here. So there's so many different ways to we make it easy for you. So let's say if I wanted to amend the return, you wonder like, how do I amend the return on sales and use tax on MyConnect? So once I log in, I locate my period that I wanted to amend. For example, September 30th of 2023. I locate that hyperlink, view or amend return, and now I drill into it. Right now I'm in the view mode. To amend, to make any changes, you need to click on the amend hyperlink. Once you click on the amend hyperlink, we'll get a banner that tells you this is an amended return. So you know it's an amended return and you keep track of what you're doing. You will make any changes to the amended return by entering the line items. You will go all the way to the end of the transaction. You will get a confirmation number for the amended return, just like we filed the original return, an email confirmation also, and you can make your submission there. Okay, so today we talk about, oh, actually one more thing I wanted to show you, which I forgot, very important. So we talk about the accountants, CPAs, if you want to file many returns, withholding, extensions, sales and use tax for your client, how to do that. So once you register yourself as an accountant and you log into the system, upper right side here, you will see a hyperlink that says Account Center. I'm going to click on the Account Center and I will have a panel that says View Bulk Filer Menu. Once I click into that, you will see, we'll give you access to everything, like all the uploads, withholding, payroll withholding, non-payroll, W-2, W-3s, 1099, 1096, extensions for corporation, pass-through entity, estimates, sales and use tax, attorney act. So these are all the bulk upload features that we do have. So if you have 10 clients, instead of like every month, like, oh shoot, you know what, I got to go in there and key in one at a time. No, don't worry. We do have that option where you can simply enter everything in your Excel template. We do have templates out there. For example, if I click into the sales and use tax, you can see that there's a link here. Click here to see file specification. And this, if I click into this is going to bring us to our DRS website. And we do have all the file different layouts on this page, example files and the layout, the spreadsheets that you are able to use for different tax types that we do have for your uploads. So let's say if you wanted to upload sales and use tax, you will find that information there. You just key in all the information and the same information basically. Just make the update for every month on your sales tax, but you can use the same template that you entered information so you don't have to enter it every month. So check out the bulk filing options. It's very convenient and it's easy for you instead of sitting there entering one return at a time for your client. If you're filing for more than one client and you do want it to make it easy on you. Okay, so today I'm going to return back to the summary screen here and we talk about, the different options that we do have by not creating a username and password on MyConnect, how to get to MyConnect, how easy it is to get there, forget your username and password, how to retrieve them, how easy it is, Once you log in, we walk through the option like the Action Center. We talk more about the More tab, like adding account locations. We also talk about filing the sales and use tax. We went through filing, amending a sales and use tax. So there's so many different things to do on MyConnect. It will make it easy. We try to make it easy for you to smoothly file your sales and use tax and make payments with no hassle. So that's all I have for today. And thank you very much for listening to me. Back to you, Mr. Carter.
All right, excellent. Well done, Randy. As always, very, very thorough. And as you can see, folks, MyConnect is easy to use and light years ahead of how folks used to file their returns in the past. Okay, so our last speaker is Kelly McLaughlin, which will be followed by the Q&A. Kelly's part goes about, what, Kelly, 2 to 3 minutes for those who are keeping score at home or might have time constraints. Kelly's a state project manager in our organizational development unit, and she will provide a quick tour of the Taxpayer Education Center and some of its features. Kelly?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Carter. All right. Today I'm going to show you give you a brief tour of the DRS Taxpayer Education Center. The Taxpayer Education Center can be found halfway down the DRS homepage at portal.ct.gov/DRS. The Taxpayer Education Center was created through the lens of a Connecticut taxpayer. The TPEDC provides informational videos and other educational resources like registration for any upcoming webinars and our new business flyers, which you might find helpful as this is a sales and use tax webinar. We also have 2 video series, one for Connecticut's residents filing and paying income tax, and the second series is for part year and non-residents filing and paying Connecticut income tax. Then we have videos that are specific to navigating our website. And at the very bottom, you can find any previously recorded webinars. In about a week's time, this webinar will be included in our live webinar recording. You will also receive an email when the video is available. Videos will be added and updated often to reflect the most asked questions from taxpayers. The videos provide a quick and easy walkthrough of the topic presented. Thank you, and now back to you, Mr. Carter.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Excellent. Quick and to the point. Awesome job as always. All right, so let's bring Catherine and Chris back in here, and we can get to the Q&A that I've been promoting for about an hour and 15 minutes or so here. So you guys ready?
Ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right, I almost am. All right, so here we go. All right, question number 1. So if the customer I am selling to claims to be a tax exempt entity, how do I know if they are, and how do I report the sale?
Okay, I'll answer that if you don't mind. Your client or customer must submit the appropriate DRS exemption certificate with a copy of their IRS determination letter that will announce or show that they are in fact a 501c3 or a charitable or religious organization, a tax exempt entity, in other words. So what you do is you keep that exemption certificate and IRS determination letter in your file. You do not send it, do not upload it with your sales and use tax return. Do not send it to DRS, you keep it in your file. If there's ever a question in the future about the transaction and whether or not it should have been subject to sales tax, you're going to have that documentation. Okay, you're going to report that sale still as part of your gross receipts on your sales and use tax return, and you'll take a corresponding subtraction. We call them deductions, but it's a subtraction from your gross receipts, and you will choose the line with the matching description, sales to charitable or religious organizations.
All right, excellent. All right, Chris, you're up, seeing as Catherine is hitting lead off here. Here's your question. If I sell to customers who are out of state, do I charge that state's sales tax rate and submit it to DRS when I file my sales tax returns? Or do I charge Connecticut sales tax rate?
Okay. The gross receipts from all sales reported on the sales and use tax return for the period in which the sales are made. So for those sales that were shipped to an out-of-state customer, a corresponding subtraction, which referred to as a deduction, is taken on the sales tax return on the line with the matching description, out-of-state sale of goods.
All right, excellent. Catherine, if I
Yes.
didn't make, if I didn't make any money after expenses for the period I'm required to file, do I still need to file or do I report zero?
Well, the gross receipts from all sales are reported on the sales and use tax return for the period in which the sale is made. Whether a profit was realized or a loss incurred during the period has no bearing whatsoever on the sales and use tax return. Costs or expenses associated with operating the business are taken on your federal business return, not on the Connecticut sales tax return.
All right, next up. If I am selling to another business who tells me not to charge them sales tax because they will still sell the goods to their customers, does my business have to pay the sales tax from its own funds because I didn't collect it?
Okay. So if a business is in the business of selling goods or services that they are purchasing from you, they must present you with a completed resale certificate for your files. So absent of the proper documentation from the purchaser claiming they should not be charged sales tax, you must collect sales tax. If the sales tax is if the sale is subject to sales tax, however, it was not collected, your business must pay and remit the tax with the filing of your return.
Okay, up next. I plan to sell online through a platform like Amazon, Etsy, eBay, etc., who supposedly collects the sales tax on behalf of my business. Do I still need to obtain a sales and use tax permit and file with DRS?
Yes, you would. We refer to these online platforms as marketplace facilitators, and they will be reporting the sales to Connecticut and the sales tax collected, but you also must report the sale on your sales tax return, and then you would take a corresponding subtraction in the amount representing those sales that you made through the online platform. The net result will be zero, tax due with your return. And that's only if you're filing, it will be zero if you're only filing through a marketplace facilitator. If you are conducting sales on your own from your own website and the marketplace facilitator, you're just going to subtract those sales that the marketplace facilitator collected the sales tax on. Whatever sales tax you've collected personally from your own sales, you would remit to us.
All right, very good. Next up, I closed my sales tax account for the business and now want to reopen it. Do I register all over again to get a new number with DRS?
Okay, so if you created a MyConnect profile, you can reopen the closed sales tax through the More tab on the top of the page, and then you would click under Taxpayer Update on the Taxpayer Updates panel, and in there there's a Reopen Closed Account link. Now you'll be required to pay $100 permit fee to reopen the account. So you might want to think a little bit about if you want to close the account. If you think you're going to reopen it or need it in the future, it might be better to file a few zero returns. So you probably should think about that first before you do that. Because if not, if you close it and reopen it, there's another $100.
Good point. All right, we're about the halfway point. Just as a reminder, these are the questions, the most frequently asked questions we receive via telephone calls, emails, and/or through My Connect. All right, next up. What is a trade name or DBA I often hear someone refer to?
And I touched on this a little earlier in the presentation, trade name or a DBA doing business as. If I'm a sole proprietorship, the name of the business is officially just my name, and no one would know actually what I am doing or what service I could be providing or what goods I may be selling. So it is a way of introducing the public to your business, and by choosing a trade name, and you will be asked during the registration process if you're registering as a sole proprietorship, do you wish to register a trade name or choose a DBA? So it will help it gives the general public an idea of what you are selling or what service you're providing.
All right, next up. How do I report goods and/or services my business purchased but didn't pay Connecticut sales tax on?
Okay, so you report the value of the goods or services on the sales and use tax return lines that match the description, say goods, services purchased by the business subject to the use tax. The return will process and calculate the use tax to be remitted by the business from its own funds when filing the return.
All right, so let's talk My Connect, Catherine. Now, obviously, some of these questions that are coming up, Randy may have addressed them, but maybe some folks didn't quite hear it as they're sitting in the back, or maybe they came late. So we might be going over some familiar ground here. Having said that, what if I've forgotten my password?
Well, very easily, you can click the Forgot Username or Password link on the homepage of MyConnect. Enter your username, click the Submit button. An email will be sent to the email address on file that you're registered with. And if you do not receive the email, please check your spam or your trash folder or junk, whichever it may be termed. Click the hyperlink in the email. When you do receive the email, enter the answer to your secret question that you originally set up. Click the Next button and then type the new password. Confirm it by typing it again and click OK. Simple as that.
All right, Chris, I don't want to leave you out on the My Connect stuff, so I've got one for you here as we approach the clubhouse turn. How do I send a secure message through My Connect?
All right, I think this is one of the best parts of My Connect. You click on the More tab on the summary page, and from the More tab, from there you click the correspondence panel, and then there's a Send a Message link. And then you follow the prompts until you reach a blank email template. You type your message and submit it. Now, if you need to upload or attach information, you can do so by scrolling to the bottom of the email template and clicking the Add a Link in the attachment panel. But this is great because this will get right into somebody's inbox right away, and you should get an answer pretty shortly in the next day or couple days.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of great, this is a great question that's coming up here. So our employee who set up our My Connect account for our business has left the company. How do I make sure the secondary logon I created for that employee is turned off so they can't access our My Connect account any longer?
Very easily. You're going to, again, click the More tab. You're learning that there's an awful lot of features on the More tab of the summary page. Scroll down to Access Management panel and click the Access Management link where you can turn off access to that secondary logon. Very simple.
All right.
Happens quite
cool.
often.
Okay, Chris, what if my email address has changed and it isn't the same as I set up in My Connect when I first registered?
Okay, you can create a new username and password once you have created a new email address. The same username cannot be used by more than one person because it is just limited to one person.
Okay, very good. All right, 3 questions to go. We're sticking with My Connect, Catherine to block. So, can a business have multiple persons with usernames in My Connect?
Yes, absolutely. Each authorized person should follow the steps required to create their own username and password.
Very good. Chris, your last question for the day. How do I close a tax type in My Connect?
Okay, so be sure to file returns up to date from the tax type you are closing. Next, you click that More tab again on the summary page of My Connect, and then you find the taxpayer updates panel, and there's a closed accounts link. So you simply enter the last day of the period for which you filed your last return. If you're filing for the June period, you would simply enter June 30th, 2024, and then click Submit.
All right, very good. Catherine, you have the last question, and here it is. Can I reopen a tax type in My Connect if I closed it in error?
Yes, you can. Follow the same path to the taxpayer updates panel from the More tab. Click the Reopen Accounts link. And if you have closed sales and use tax account, you may be required to pay the $100 permit fee again. So think carefully. You may say, for the next 3 months or so, I'm not going to be selling anything. I think I'll pick it back up in the fall. Well, it might just be worth it for you to file 0 returns for the next 3 months and then not have to pay the $100 permit fee again. So are we done? Are we heading to the clubhouse?
As a matter of fact, we are. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
All right, well, that's going to cover it for today. As business owners, we know how busy you are and how precious time can be. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. And I mean, we've been at it for almost an hour and a half, and it is taxes. So I want to thank everyone for sticking it out, because talking about taxes sometimes can be like looking at a can of paint. I mean, let's just be honest about it. So I understand that. So just to recap on some contact information, if you have any questions in the future, our business hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. We can be contacted by telephone at 860-297-5962, or you can go the 1-800 route, and that's 1-800-382-9463. By email, you can zap us. Our email address is drs@ct.gov. And our web address is portal.ct.gov/DRS. And also, as a quick reminder, you can also follow us on social media if you're looking for updates or perhaps some new information that's coming out, which is essentially the same thing I just said twice. So anyway, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Follow us, give us a like, or subscribe. And again, if you're out on YouTube, there's that guy out there in a golf cart talking about landscaping. Okay, so on behalf of the entire team, I want to thank everyone for attending. Best wishes with your pursuits and your business, and be careful today out there in the heat. And we'll see you at the next one. Thank you, everyone, for watching.